Hi you guys, Miss Sacramani here. We're going to take a look at the guided reading Over the River Book 5. So I have it laid out for you here in the slideshow. I'll attach this video link here and then you can review this book with your students. Again, I'll do my best. Guided reading is very difficult to do over a camera because it's supposed to be something that's very interactive where the kids are explaining what they see, where we're making predictions, where we're asking who, what, where, and why, when and why questions. But it's something, right? We're doing our best here to during these tough times. So let's take a look firstly. This book is called Over the River, and the sentences are a little bit longer. They're about 9-word sentences, which is a bit longer compared to the first 4 books we read. So as we move along in our reading kit, you'll see that the books will become a little bit longer, the sentences will become a little bit more complex, and there'll be more sight words put into the books. So let's take a look at the sight words. I'm going to review them here first, and then I'll also focus in on them in the book as well. So the first one, we have we, W-E, and it sounds like it should be screaming E's, what-e, but we've talked about how this is an exception to the rule in class. So very important sight word for the students to focus on. Can, k, an. This one's an easy one because every sound, we write every letter and we say every sound. There's no quiet ones in there. We have C, S, E. There's the screaming E's that we've talked about before. We have A, nice and easy. We have go, G, O. We have, see there's quite a few in this book to be honest. The. And I'm going to put a star beside this one because this is the one we can't sound out. We have to memorize it. And we have the rude brothers in there. And then we have in. So quite a few sight words in this guided reading book. Parents, I can't stress enough the importance of sight words. Now that we've really moved beyond uppercase and lowercase letters and connecting the sounds to each letter, the next step is obviously sight words and learning to memorize them and learning to write with them. That's why our guided reading is so repetitive and it follows the same pattern. So come up with a word bank in your house. Have a word wall. The best thing I could say right now, because we're not in a classroom and they don't have access to my word wall, is create a word wall in your own home. Use one in the office, use one anywhere that you'd like, and start putting these words up. And when your child, is writing sentences, or when they're drawing, or when they're doodling, whatever it may be, have them refer to those words, have them use those words. Like I said, put them up on your fridge. If you want to write them on your mirror at the end of the night while they're brushing their teeth and review them. Find ways to build it into your daily life so it can become repetitive for your child. So these are our sight words. Now let's take a look at the book. I will read it first, and then I will just point to each word so the student can read it to you as the video goes on, and then we'll just talk about our final writing activity at the end. So here we go. We'll come nice and close. Over the river. And we notice that the uppercase on the O, because it's a title, and the uppercase on the R, okay? So over the river. And here's a very important sight word, the, T-H-E. We can't sound it out, we just have to memorize this one. And you know what would be a great time to pause your video, parents, as you're watching this, and to ask your child, taking a look at just the front cover photo and the 3 words, what do you think this book is going to be about? Ask your child. Okay. Over the river. We can see a mouse go over the river. And we know we always begin our sentences with an uppercase and we always end with a punctuation mark. We can see a squirrel go over the river. Now let's take a look here at the word squirrel. We know that the letter Q is always followed by the letter U. Right? They're like twin sisters or twin brothers. They always have to go together. So you'll never find a Q by itself without a U. We can see a rabbit go over the river. Rabbit. Let's take a look at this word. It. We have two B's, but just like our two L's and our two S's, we only say that sound once. Okay, kindergartens, what do you notice is happening with the animal each time? Take a look at the animal. We're going to flip one more page after and start to think about what's changing about the animal each time. We can see a skunk go over the river. We can see a fox, and this is our letter of the week. It says X, go over the river. Now take a look here, kindergarten. We have an ER and an ER. And when E and R are together, it's a blend, and it says We can see a deer go over the river. Now here, parents, I'd like you to pause this video and have your child find the screaming E's on this page, because you'll notice that there are two sets of screaming E's. We can see a bear go over the river. Now take a look here. We have an E and an A. And when two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking B-air. We don't say the A sound. We can see the bear go in the river. And take a look, we had an exclamation mark at the end of that sentence. So my voice should have got louder and actually didn't. We can see the bear go in the river. So that's our book. Now, kindergarten, we're going to do it again. But this time, I want you to read. Okay, here we go. Good for you, kindergarten. If you were able to read along with Miss Sacramento throughout that whole book, well done. Now let's take a look at our writing activity. I'm just going to pop out for 1 second and grab a board. I wanted to bring your attention to one blend that we saw over and over in this book, and it was in the word over. And I'm going to rip this off for you. Okay, we had the E and R appear quite a few times in the book. Now, usually E and R are at the end of a word, and they're together. And when they're together, like that, E and R, we call it a blend. 2 letters but 1 sound. And it says So not just So that's one thing I really want you to pay attention to, is when you see E and R at the end of the words, at the end of a word, usually we're only saying that R sound. Okay? So let's take a look at our writing activity. As always, we will write the title of the book. And parents, I'm going to kind of go through this fast because I know listening to me can get long. The pattern of the activity will never change in guided reading. So we write the title of the book at the top of our blank piece of paper. Over the river. And we make sure that O and that R is capital, or uppercase. And if the children want, they can circle the E and R blend that we just talked about. Okay, then what we're gonna do is review your sight words, go back into that book, go back into the video, and take a look at our sight words. So we had, I guess I can't give you that book, so you can't go back into that book. We have we, can, see, go, the, and in. So take some time now to write those words out and really review them with your child. Talk about the beginning letter, the beginning sound in each of those words before you progress to the next part of this activity. Then I want you to ask your child, what did you notice in the book? What was happening each time? And what the students should notice is that the animal was getting bigger each time as they went across the river. So in their minds, they probably should have been predicting what was going to happen. Well, eventually, if that animal gets big enough, that log wasn't going to be able, or that tree branch wasn't going to be able to hold them anymore. So when you are reading with your child at night or throughout the days, ask them those who, what, where, when, and why questions in the middle of reading. That'll help to develop higher order thinking skills. Okay, so what we're gonna do is talk about the things that the chipmunks said they saw go over the river. Talk about those different animals. Were there any that they didn't know? Did they know all those animals and their names? Maybe talk about the beginning sounds in those of those animals, the beginning sounds. So example, fox starts with F and F, squirrel, S, bear, B. Okay, and then we're going to take a look at composing a sentence. So I want the sentence to begin with, we can see, and then they can tell you what they see. So here we go. We know that sentences start with uppercase letters, so we're going to start going, we, I can write upside down here, can, maybe not. Just kidding, that's really hard. We can, finger space, see, finger space, and then what can you see go across the river? Take a look, go back at one of those pages. If the students, like I said, always ask them to write their sight word first if they remember it. If they can't remember it, have them try to sound it out. If they can't sound it out, then go into the book, find a page, and they can take a look at one of the sight words that's already written there to help them. But have them try with, like, you want to support them a little bit less each time, right? So we can see, well, Miss Sacramani's going to use fox. We can see a fox, so fox. At this point, I wouldn't want them using the book. I want them to sound it out. So F, A, O, X, X, and that's our letter of the week. We can see a fox. And we could just end it there with a period, or you could have your child extend that sentence, we can see a fox go over the river, if you want it to be a little bit longer. You could do 1 or 2 sentences, you could do a few more if you like. You could introduce a different animal. What would have been bigger than the bear? If the bear would have made it across that log, what animal would have come next? Right? Then you're asking the students to think a little bit deeper. And then if you want, I just put an additional activity. Have them open up the book and draw a picture of the animal. Maybe it was the animal that they chose going over the river. Add some detail in your picture. Maybe you can color it. So that was our Over the River Book 5 guided reading. Thank you so much, parents.